I thought she was just a difficult mother-in-law, the kind who complains about the menu, makes comments about your weight, cries at the wrong moments. Until the night she yanked my hair at my own engagement dinner and told 32 relatives I'd attacked her. But what I found out afterward, about my fiancé's dead father, his ex-girlfriend, and a secret trust fund, changed everything. The private room at Bella Vita smelled like garlic bread and red wine. I'd been to this restaurant a dozen times. It was the kind of place where the booths were vinyl and the candles on the tables were real, not electric. But tonight the linen felt stiff under my hands and the wine tasted like nothing. I was 31 years old, and I was getting engaged. Well, technically I was already engaged. Ethan had proposed 2 weeks ago in the living room of my apartment, on one knee, with a ring he'd been hiding in his sock drawer for 3 months. Tonight was supposed to be the announcement dinner, both families, a nice meal, the kind of evening that ends with everyone hugging in the parking lot. Maggie was 45 minutes late. My mom, Linda, had already asked twice if everything was okay. My dad, Rick, was on his second glass of Chianti and pretending not to check his phone. Rick's wife, Karen, was making small talk with Lauren, Ethan's sister, who had flown in from Seattle that morning and looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. Ethan was sitting next to me, his knee touching mine under the table. He squeezed my hand when the restaurant door finally opened. Maggie walked in wearing a black dress that was too nice for a family dinner at a Littleton strip. She didn't apologize for being late. She didn't say hello to my parents. She walked straight to the empty chair at the head of the table, the chair Ethan had been saving for his grandfather, who'd passed 2 years, and sat. "Sorry I'm late," she, not sounding sorry at all. Traffic on Santa Fe was a nightmare. No one mentioned that Santa Fe Drive was 10 minutes from her house. The waiter. Orders were. I tried to make conversation, asked Lauren about her new clinic in Seattle, asked Rick how the fishing trip. The food. Eggplant parmesan, fettuccine alfredo, a plate of calamari that Maggie didn't touch because she said fried. Upset her. Ethan cleared his throat halfway through the main. He stood up, glass, and the table went. "I just want to say thank you to everyone from here," he said. His voice was a little gee, the way it got when he was. "Clara and I have news. We're getting married." A beat. Then Linda starting. Rick raised us, said, "Oh, honey, congrats." Lauren smiled, but her eyes gee. Meg move. She was not at Ethan, at me. Her face calm, the way a lake is calm right before the up. She walked slow, deliberate steps, the heels of her shoes clicking on the tile floor. She stopped chair. I felt the air change before I was about to turn around it. Fingers in my hair, gripping at the roots, yanking my head back so hard. "This doesn't count," said. Her voice was low, heard it. "A proposal without my blessing does anything." The room was silent. My scalp burned. I could feel individual strands pulling loose. My head was tilted so far back I was staring at the ceiling light, the one with the little glass shade in it. She let go. She down in her chair. She put her chin in her lap. And then crying. "Cruel to me," Maggie said, her voice breaking. "Ever since they started dating, she's done nothing out. I tried, I really tried, but she won't let me be part of son's life." I was still holding my head. My hand came away with 3 or 4 hairs on the fingers. I looked at Ethan. Maggie. He stood up, walked around the table and put his hand on her shoulder. "Mom," he said. "Mom, it's okay, breathe." I rubbed Maggie's back. I watched her a glass of water. I watched my owner's mouth fall open. I watched Lauren stand up, push her chair back, and walk out of the ring a word. Said anything to me, got up. My legs felt like one else. Walked out of the private room, past the host stand, past the bar where a guy in a Broncos jersey watching a preseason game, his bathroom. The bathroom was small. One sink, one stall, a mirror with lights around that made everything look worse. I leaned again and looked at myself. There was a red mark on the right side of my scalp, size of a quarter. My hair was messy where it had been pulled. My eyes were dry. I wasn't crying, or what I was feeling. My phone buzzed and I pulled it out. The text from Maggie. "I hope you know you've destroyed this family. Selfishness is unbelievable." I stared at the message. Hovered over the keyboard. For 2 years, this is what I'd done. Typed back something apologetic, smoothed it over. "I'm sorry you feel that way. I didn't mean to upset you. Can we?" I didn't type any of it. I pressed the side button, the volume button at the same. The screen flashed. Screenshot saved. I put the phone back in my. I washed my hands. I looked in the mirror one more time and used my fingered spot. When I walked back toward the private room, Ethan was standing in the hallway. His face pale. Clara, he said. I'm so sorry. She's not herself tonight. She's been under so stress. Ethan, I said. My voice sounded calm, even to my own ear. She pulled my hair. I know, and I'm going to talk to her. She pulled everyone, and you went to her. The words hung in the hallway. Somewhere in the restaurant, a plate crashed. A laugh from the bar. The Broncos game roamed on. Ethan opened his mouth, closed it, looked down at his shoes. I walked past him. I didn't go back into the private room. I grabbed my coat from the hook by the door, walked out through the main dining room, and pushed the front door into the Colorado night. The air was cold. It was late August, but Denver nights already had that edge, that warning that summer was ending. I stood on the sidewalk, Carr Street, and breathed. My phone. I didn't look at it. Behind me, the restaurant door opened. Footsteps on the concrete. I didn't turn around. The footsteps behind me turned out to be Lauren. She caught up to me on the sidewalk, breathless, and said, "Are you okay?" I nodded even though I wasn't. Lauren didn't push. She stood there with me for a minute, cars passing on Kipling, and then said, "I'll get my bag. I'll come with you." But I shook my head. I needed to be alone. That was Friday night. By Monday morning, I'd told myself the same thing 100 times. It was a one-time thing. Maggie was stressed. She'd been drinking. She'd apologized. We'd moved past it. I was on a client call when my phone buzzed on the desk. I ignored it. Then it buzzed again and again. By the fourth buzz, I muted the call and picked it up. The family group chat, the one Maggie had created last Christmas. 32 members, mostly Reynolds' cousins and aunts, had 47 new messages. I scrolled up. The top message was from Maggie, sent at 6:47 a.m. I never wanted to do this publicly, but I can't stay silent anymore. For 2 years, I've watched my son be pulled away from his family by someone who doesn't respect us. Friday night was the last straw. I was physically attacked and then blamed for it. I've tried to be welcoming. I've tried to be patient, but some people only understand one. Below it, a cascade of reactions. A few cousins with hurts. An aunt saying, sending. Ethan's cousin Mark, whom I'd met twice, wrote, "Whoa, what?" Maggie read, "Maybe someday I'll be able to talk it. Right now it's too full." I put the phone down. My client was still talking in my earbud about Pantone colors and deadline extensions. I unmuted the call. "I'm sorry. Can you?" I got through the next 2 hours on autopilot. 11. I called the barn at Rat Creek, which I'd booked 6 weeks ago after a 3-month. I wanted to confirm the menu tasting. The event coordinator, a woman, Nasha, was friendly. She said, "Oh, actually, I was calling you. We had a call from the groom's mother last week, Margaret. She wanted to move the date from October 3rd to September 26th, and she asked about switching to the plated dinner instead of." I told her I'd need to confirm with the primary contact, you, but I just wanted to give. My hand tightened around the phone. "Called you?" "Yes, Tuesday. She had a lot of ideas. She also mentioned she might want to bring in her own florist instead of the one you." "Last Tuesday," I repeated. That was 4 days before the engagement dinner, before the hair pulling, before any of it. I thanked her and hung up. I sat at my desk a long time, looking at the ring in my left hand. The one was small. Ethan had picked it out himself, not with Maggie because he'd said he wanted it. At noon, Ethan did, "Hey, can we talk tonight? I want to figure this out." I typed, "Sure," then deleted it. Typed, "We need to talk about more than just fried it." That evening, Ethan showed up with takeout from the Thai fax. He set the bags on the counter and me directly. "I talked to my mom this morning," he said. "She's really upset. She says she feels like the family." I was standing by the fridge. I turned slowly. "Ethan," she pulled my hair. She called behind my back. She posted in the family tagged her. She says the venue thing was a misunderstanding. She was helping. She called 4 days before the dinner, before anything happened. That's not helping. That's taking over. Ethan rubbed his face. "Look, I know she messed up. Okay, I know. But she's my mom. She's been alone since Dad died. She doesn't know how to do the letting go thing. Can we give her some space? Let things cool down, and then we can all sit like adults." I stared. "Adults?" "Yeah, she physically assaulted me. And your solution is to give her space." I didn't say, "Said give her some space. I'm sorry she hurt you." "You didn't say that was unacceptable. You said give her space." Ethan set the takeout bag down a little too hard. Sauce sloshed inside. "What do you want me to do, Clara?" "Her? She's my mother. I want you to be on my side." The word came out quieter than I ended. They hung in the kitchen, between the fridge and the counter, and the two being cold. Didn't answer. At 9 o'clock, Annie showed up unannounced. She had a key. I'd give it to her after my last breakup. For emergencies and for when to eat your leftovers. She walked in. One look at my Show me. I pulled my hair back. Danny's jaw tightened. She think for a full 5. Then she said, "That's assault, Clara." She had too much. Assault. You could call the police. I'm not calling police. What? Because she's Ethan's mom. Everything. Danny sat down next to the couch. Clara, listen to me. She hit you, and then she told everyone you hit her, and your fiancé is asking you to give her space. Does any of that okay to you? I'd answer. I looked at my hand. The ring was stinger. Dan left at 10. Lay in bed. Ethan on the couch. I'd offered. I hadn't asked. My phone buzzed once more. A text from an unknown number. It's Lauren. I'm still in Denver until Thursday. Kathy, there are things you know. I stared at them. Outside, a car door slammed. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. Yes, tomorrow. Put the phone down and stared at the thing. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was crying, but because I was turning something over in my head. Something I couldn't quite name. It felt like the moment before, when you're still sitting, but your muscles already know you're going to move. Lauren was waiting at a coffee shop on South Broadway when I arrived Tuesday morning. She had a latte in front of her and her jacket was still on, like she'd been pacing. Thanks for coming, Lauren said. She pushed a second latte across the table. I wasn't sure you would. Your text said there are things I should know. Lauren nodded. She didn't start right away. She stirred her coffee, looked out the window, stirred it again. My mom is a lot of things, she said finally, but stupid isn't one of them. She knows exactly what she's doing. I waited. Friday night wasn't the first time she's done something like that. It's just the first time she did it in front of people who aren't family. Lauren's voice was flat, like she was reading a list. When I was 19, I came home from college with a girlfriend. Mom didn't say anything to me. She called my coach. She called my advisor. She told them I was going through a phase and making poor decisions. By the end of the semester, my girlfriend transferred. I didn't talk to my mom for a year and a half. My mouth went dry. Ethan doesn't. Ethan knows I had a girlfriend in college. He doesn't know what Mom did. I never told him. Because I knew he'd find a way to make it her fault, but also not her fault. She didn't understand. That's how he's. The espresso machine hissed behind a customer left. I felt like I was hearing a story about someone else's. There was someone before, Lauren said. They dated for almost 3 years. Mom did the same thing, slowly. Called her parents. Told relatives she was By the time Alicia realized what was happening, she was left. Ethan told everyone it was mutual. Do you know? I think of it. I think he didn't let himself know. Lauren looked at me directly. I'm telling you this because Friday night. Not because of what did. I've seen worse. Because of how he reacted. Went to her. Always. I thought about the hallway. Vita. Ethan's hand on Maggie's shoulder. Give her space. What do I do? I said. Lauren cupped down. You decide what you live with. And you tell him. Not as an ultimatum. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open. I wrote and deleted and wrote again. At midnight, I sent an email to Maggie. I CC'd Ethan, Margaret, I'm writing because I want to be clear about where things stand. What happened on Friday was unacceptable. You pulled my hair in front of our families and then told people I attacked you. Not okay. And it will not hide. Going forward, I need things. You will not contact the wedding venue or any vendor without speaking to me first. You will not about me or our relationship in the family group chat or anywhere. Else, the next time we see each other, I need you to apologize for my hair. These aren't negotiable. I'm not asking you to like me. I'm asking you to treat basic respect. Clara, I hit send before I could change my mind. The whoosh of the email sending sounded final, door closing. Ethan called next morning. His voice was tight. Did you really send? Yes. Clara, she called me crying at 6 a.m. She says you're to cut her out of the family. She's doing everything. Ethan, I asked her not to call vendors behind my back and to apologize for assaulting me. That's not controlling. That's the bare minimum. You could have talked to me first. We could have figured out a way to say it. That didn't what? That didn't upset her? My voice rose. Ethan, I have spent 2 years finding ways that don't upset her. I have changed the menu, changed the date, changed my clothes, changed my words. I am done changing myself to feel uncomfortable. There was silence on the line. Then Ethan said, I need late for work. He hung up. I stood in the kitchen, phone in hand, and realized I was shaking. Anger from something else. From the feeling that the ground had shifted under me, the new ground was. Come home that night. He texted at 9. Staves. Need space. I read the message. Then I opened my app and started a new document. I titled it, Timeline. I typed 27th and get dinner. Hair. Text from Maggie. You've destroyed this family. Screenshot saved. Discovered. Mag venue on August 18th. Family group chat post. August 26. Email to Maggie with 3 boundaries. Then left. I saved the document. I didn't know yet why I was doing it. If me knew, my phone. A text from Lauren. I'm flying back to Seattle tomorrow. But I want you to know I'm on your side. And if you need me, I'll come back. I typed back. Thank you. Can you tell me about Alicia? The reply fast. I'll tell you everything. Text. I'll come back. Outside, the den picked up. It rattled the window. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark kitchen for a long time, listening to the house settle around me. Lauren came back the following Tuesday. She took a red-eye from Seattle, showed up at my door at 7 in the morning with a carry-on and a coffee, and said, I told my office I had a family emergency. Technically, that's true. We sat at my kitchen table. Lauren pulled out her phone and showed me a Facebook profile. Alicia Mendez, now living in Portland, married, 2 kids. The profile picture was a family photo at a pumpkin patch. Ethan and Alicia dated from 2014 to 2017, Lauren said. She was a teacher. Nice, really nice. Mom hated her because she was Catholic, and Mom thinks anything that isn't her way is a personal attack. Lauren scrolled through old messages. She'd saved screenshots. Mom called Alicia's principal. Told her Alicia was having personal problems that might affect her students. She didn't say anything specific, just enough to plant a seed. Alicia never found out who made the call, but she suspected. By the time she broke up with Ethan, she was in therapy. I felt sick. And Ethan told me she left because she wasn't ready for commitment. I think he believed, or he needed to believe. Lauren put the phone down. There's more. About Dad. I leaned forward. Dad died in 2015. Everyone says heart attack. And it was, technically. But here's what nobody talks about. The week before he died, he told Mom he wanted a divorce. He was going to move out, file papers. Mom did. She called him. She told him he'd die. And then, 3 days later, he had the heart attack. Lauren's voice to shake. She'd said this before. To a therapist, maybe. Mom told everyone it was a peaceful death. That they'd be happy. That's the story. But Dad's best friend, Uncle Ray, the lawyer, he told me Dad had been seeing a attorney. He also told me Dad set up a trust fund for me and Ethan. A pretty substantial one. Life insurance, some investments. Mom is the trustee until we turn 5. Ethan. Right. So Mom controls it. He says she's been making withdrawals. Not huge amounts, but enough. For families. She redid the kitchen last year. New roof. Those weren't family expenses. Those were her house. Mind was racing. Does Ethan the trust? He knows it exists. He doesn't know the details. Mom has always handled the money. He signs in front of him. Lauren paused. Clara, I'm telling you all of this because you need to be dealing with. She's not just difficult. She's calculated, and she will destroy things. Oh. I thought about the venue call, the group chat, the hairble, the email, Ethan leaving. It all fit. It was never about me specifically. It was about control. We talked for 3 hours. Lauren left 10 to go to her hotel, promising to stay in Denver as I did. I was alone in the apartment. Front door opened. Walked in. Gone 6 days. He looked tired. He looked at me, then at the kitchen table. Lauren's phone had been. Where the nail spread out. What this? Ethan, were you digging into my family? Into my dad? His voice was rising. Lauren told me she was here. She told me you two were talking. Is this what you were doing? Investigating my... Ethan, listen to me. Mom called Alicia's principal. Sabotage that relationship. She's been taking money to fund your dad set up. Fund is none of your business. He was shouting now. Dad's death is none of your business. You think because my mom pulled your hair, you get to come in here and tear apart my entire family? I'm not tearing anything apart. I'm trying to show you, I don't need you to show me anything. I need you to stop. My mom is not perfect, but she's mom, and she's been through hell. And I am not going to sit here while you are like this. He was breathing hard. I was breathing hard. The apartment felt small, too small for both of us. Where are you staying? I said. Which surprised me. I'm going to my mom's. He grabbed a duffel bag from the bedroom. He'd packed one, realized. He'd planned this. I think we need to figure out what we want. He stood at the door. I'm sorry, Clara. Then he left. The door clicked shut. The lock turned. I stood in the middle of the living room. The notes were still on the table. Lauren's coffee cup was still in the sink. The ring still on my finger. My phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. I think we should pause. For real this time. I'm sorry. I looked at the message. I didn't cry. I didn't come back. I walked to the kitchen table, the notes, and put them in a folder. I labeled the folder everything. I sat down and opened my laptop. I pulled up my bank account. My savings. My retirement. I added up the numbers. I was fine. I just forgotten. Outside, a plane flew low, descending toward DIA. I watched it through the window against the Colorado blue and thought, I am not going to beg. I spent the next 3 days doing 3 things. First, I got my finances in order. I pulled my credit report. Excellent. 782, no surprises. I checked my savings. $12,400. Enough for 3 months of rent and expenses if I had to. I called my credit card company and lowered the limit on the card I shared with Ethan. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I wanted to know where every dollar was. I called my auto insurance and made sure the policy was in my name only. None of it was dramatic. It was quiet, methodical, the kind of work that doesn't make for a good story but keeps you standing when everything else falls apart. Second, I called Ray. Raymond Castelli was 72, retired, and had been Harold Reynolds' best friend since college. He picked up on the second ring. Clara Bennett. Lauren told me you might call. We met at a diner in Lakewood. Ray ordered pie, coconut cream, the only thing this place does right, and listened while I talked. When I finished, he leaned back in the booth and said, Your fiancé doesn't know about the withdrawal. No. Harold set up that trust in 2013, 2 years before he died. He knew Margaret was going to need oversight. He made her the trustee because he thought she'd do right by the kids. But the documents are clear. The money is for Ethan and Lauren, not for kitchen remodel. Ray took a bite of pie. I've got copies of everything. The trust instrument, the annual statements, the withdrawal records. I've been holding on to them because I was waiting for one of the kids to ask. Can I have them? Ray studied. You're not going to use these to hurt Margaret. I'm going to give them to Ethan. It's his decision what to do. Ray nodded slowly. That's the right answer. Harold would have. He slid a manila folder across my table. I held it, felt it, and thought about how strange it was that the most important document in my life had been sitting in a retired lawyer's filing cabinet for 10 years. I went into the family chat. I didn't type a long message. I didn't argue. I uploaded a close-up photo of the red mark on scalp, taken the morning after, and a screenshot of Maggie. I hope you know you've destroyed me. Then I wrote one. This is what happened at the engagement. I don't need an apology, Margaret. I just wanted everyone to have facts. Hit send. I put the phone face down on the table. I made myself. By the time I finished the tea, there were 30 eyes. I skimmed. A few cousins say we're sorry, wrote. Margaret never. Ethan's cousin Mark, the one who'd asked what happened. Holy shit. One person did Maggie. There are 2 sides story. It was sister. Diane did that. What I didn't expect was this. Sarah. I always knew something was Margaret. Uncle Pete. Your fiancé needs to get the sand. Aunt Linda. Ethan's aunt, Mom. She did too. Not the hair pulling, but the rest. I never said anything. I should have. By evening, they had shifted. Not completely. Maggie her defenders, but enough. For the first time in 2 years, I wasn't who knew. Mine at 9, Maggie. Green. I almost didn't answer. Then I did. You think you're so smart, Maggie said. Her voice was different. No crying, no tremor. It's cold, sharp anger. You think posting makes you a victim? You have no idea what you've started. I know exactly what I started, I said. I started telling the truth. Maggie laughed. It was an ugly sound. You don't know the first thing about truth. You don't know what it was like raising 2 kids alone your husband drops dead. You don't know what it's like to watch some girl come built. I'm making anything, Margaret. I'm people. Anything yet. Maggie's voice dropped. Ethan is my son. He will always choose me. You think a few screenshots change that? He's at my house right now. He's eating my food. He's sleeping in his old bedroom. You are alone in that apartment? Alone. I was quiet for a moment. Then I said, I'm not alone, and I'm not afraid of you more. I blocked the number. I set the phone down. My hands were shaking, but my voice hadn't. Not once. I had a manila folder on the table. Ray's handwriting on the tab. Reynolds Family Trust. My phone and texted Ethan. I have something for you. It's about your dad's trust. You don't have to see me. I can leave office. but you'd read it. And then I got up, walked to the window. The Denver skyline. The lights of stretching out toward the mountains, but always there. Didn't know if Ethan would come. I didn't know if any of it would matter, but for the time since that night at Bella Vita, I felt like I was standing on solid ground. Ethan showed up at my apartment on Thursday evening. He didn't text first. He just knocked. I opened the door. He was standing there in jeans and a hoodie, holding a 6-pack of the beer we used to drink on camping trips. His eyes were red. "Can I come in?" he said. I stepped aside. He walked in, set the beer on the counter, and stood in the middle of the kitchen like he wasn't sure where to put his hands. "I read the folder," he said. "Ray's folder." "All of it," I nodded. I didn't say anything. The withdrawals, the trust. The thing about Alicia. His voice cracked on the last word. I called her. Alicia. She told me everything. The principal, the calls to her parents. She said she lost 10 pounds in the last month we were together because she was so stressed. He sat down at the kitchen table. I sat across from him. The manila folder was between us, open, papers spread out like a hand of cards. "I didn't know," Ethan said. "I swear to God I didn't." "I believe you." And I did. That was the worst part. I believed. He hadn't. He'd been lied to, manipulated, same as everyone else. But he'd also chosen not to look. "Claire," I stopped. "I need to ask something. And I need you to be... Is there a way back from this?" "Really?" The dark circle's eyes. The way he was holding his hands together, like he was praying. The ring on his hand. He was... "I don't know," said. "I want there to be, but I need you to understand something. I'm not asking you to stop talking to your mom. I'm not asking you to disown her. I'm asking you to see what she did. To me, to Alicia, to Lauren, to your dad, and to stop making excuses for it. I'm asking you to stand with me, not between me and her." "With me?" He nodded slowly. "It looks like you telling her in person that pulling my hair was unacceptable, and that she owed you. It looks like you telling her she's not involved in wedding planning. It looks like, when she calls you crying and saying I'm destroying the family, you say, 'Mom, I love you, but Claire family too, and I'm not going to let you it.' Then, do that, Ethan." My voice was firm. "She's going to make it easy. She's going to cry. She's going to say she's having chest pains. She's going to tell you you're killing her, and you going anyway." "I know." He looked at me. "I know who she is. I think I've always known. I just didn't want to." He left at 9. We didn't hug. We didn't, he said. "Good night." What happened next? Ethan told me later. He walked in. Maggie was in the room watching TV, her legs. Smiled when she saw him. The warm, relieved smile of a mother who senses. "Ethan, baby, I knew you'd come around. Mom, we talk," he sat down. He told her about the trust fund, about Alicia, about me, about the... He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He just said words, one after the way I'd told him to. Maggie listened. Her face changed. The smile, the eyes narrowed. When he finished, quiet for a long time. Then she put her hand on her chest. "Ethan," she said. "My chest, it hurts. I think I need to call an ambulance." Ethan looked at her. For just a second, the old Lex kicked in. Panic, guilt, his mother with words. He thought about what I'd said. "She's having chest pain." He pulled out his phone. He called 911. "Mother is having chest pains. She's 58. Addresses. Maggie's eyes widened and expected him to actually... The ambulance came. 2 paramedics. They put Maggie on a stretcher, hooked her up to an EKG. Her heart was fine. Blood pressure was slightly elevated. They took her to the hospital anyway. Standard procedure, they said. Ethan rode in the ambulance. Maggie didn't speak to him the whole way. At the ER, they ran tests. Everything came back normal. The doctor said it was likely anxiety. Recommended she follow up with her primary care. Maggie, defeated almost. Ethan sat in the room while they discharged her. It was 2 a.m. The fluorescent lights hummed. A woman in the corner was snoring. A kid was crying somewhere down the hall. She picked up on the first ring. She did the chest, Lauren said. "Yeah. She did it the week before Dad died too. Said she was having a heart attack. Took her to the ER. Tests were fine. They came home. 3 days later, he was dead." Lauren's voice was steady but "Ethan, she's not going to change. She's going to do this every time you set a boundary. Decide if you're going to keep falling for it." Ethan sat there for a long time after the call ended. He thought about Alicia, about my scalp, about Lauren moving to Seattle and never coming home, about his dad. dead at 50 in a house where he'd been planning to leave. At 3 in the morning, I answered a second ring. Are you? I'm at the hospital, he said. She faked chest pain. Tests are fine. I'm waiting for her to be discharged. Ethan, Clara, I'm done. I'm done making excuses. I'm done being I'm done choosing her over the person I love. His voice broke. I'm sorry it took me this long. I'm sorry you had to go through all of it alone. But I'm ready now. I want to do this, us, the right way. Our way. There was a pause. My voice came back soft and I believe you, but I need time, Ethan. Not because of your mom, because of me. I need to know that I'm not just waiting for ready. I need to know that I'm okay either way. Ethan closed his eyes. How much time? I don't know. A month, maybe 2. We can talk. We can see each other. But no wedding plan, no big decisions. Just figuring it out. Okay, he said. Okay, I'll wait. He hung up. Maggie was wheeled out of the ER bay. Looking small, I've never seen her. She didn't look at Ethan, stood up. He didn't help her into the wheelchair. He did for his arm. He just said, the car's outside. And in 33 years, he walked ahead of his mother. 3 months later, the leaves on the trees outside my apartment were turning yellow and red. Denver autumn, brief, bright, gone before you're ready. I'd always loved it. This year, I noticed it more. A lot of things had changed. Ethan had moved back in, but slowly. First a drawer, then half the closet, then the rest of his stuff from the condo. We were in couples therapy. Every Tuesday at 5, a therapist named Dr. Patel, who had a couch that was too soft and a habit of saying, "And how did that make you feel?" in a way that didn't sound condescending. Maggie was still Maggie. She called Ethan once a week. Sometimes she was pleasant. Sometimes she was cold. Twice she'd mentioned the wedding. Have you set a date yet? And Ethan had said, we're taking our time. She hadn't been invited to help with anything. She'd told him she might not come to the wedding if she wasn't involved in the planning. Ethan had said, that's your choice, Mom. She hadn't brought it up again. Lauren had moved back to Denver. Not because of the family drama, because she'd gotten a job offer at a clinic in Boulder that was too good to pass up. But I suspected the timing wasn't entirely a coincidence. We'd had dinner twice. Lauren had brought her girlfriend, Jane, and I'd watched Ethan meet her for the first time. He'd hugged Lauren and, I'm sorry I didn't. Lauren had said, I'm sorry I didn't tell. It wasn't a perfect reconciliation, but it was a big. My business had grown. I'd taken on 3 new clients, a bookstore in Highlands, a yoga studio in Capitol, a coffee roaster in Ryan. I'd rewritten my contract. The new clause said, client agrees to provide all feedback within 7 business days of draft delivery. Revisions requested after this window may be subject to additional fees. It was a small thing. It was Danny had thrown me a not engagement party in honor. Just the 2 of us. Takeout sushi, bad reality. When you actually get married, Danny, I'll throw you a real one. But for now, this for you. For figuring your a Tuesday in mid-year. Ethan had made reservations at. I'd hesitated when he said, "Are you?" said. That place has associations. I know, said. That's why. I won't go back. Not for an engagement party. Just for dinner, you and me. No families, no drama. So here we were. Same restaurant. Different table. Not the private room. Just a regular bow. The same garlic bread smell. The same vinyl booths. The cracked glass shade on the ceiling had been replaced. Ordered. Eggplant parmesan for me, chicken mutton. A bottle of Chianti. The same one my dad had that night. Remember when you proposed? I said, in the living room. You were so nervous you drugs. It bounced under the couch, Ethan said, grinning. I had to get my hands and knees. You thought stroke. I thought you were bored. We laughed. It was easy. It had been since it was easy. Halfway through dinner, his fork. He reached into his jacket pocket envelope. Plain white, no writing on the front. What's that? I said, open it. I opened it. Inside was a card. I pulled it out. Invitation. Not the fancy one Maggie had been pushing for. No calligraphy, no gold foil, no list of family members. Just a simple design, cream cardstock, black ink. Clara Bennett and Ethan Reynolds request the pleasure of your company at their wedding Saturday, May 16th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The Denver Batons at the bottom, in smaller print. No pleasure on the list. No drama. Vegan options. I looked up. Ethan was watching me, his hands folded on the table, his face serious. The date's ours, he said. The venue's ours. The guest list, I checked. Your mom, your dad, Karen, Danny, Lauren, Jamie, my cousin Mark, a few friends. No one going to make it about themselves. He paused. I invited my mom. I sent it to her. But I told her if she comes, she behaves. No speeches, no demands. She sits where she's told. And if she can't do that, she does. It's her choice. I stared at the invitation. The ink was still crisp. Paper was thick and good quality. I'd know I was her. Ethan, I know we said no big decisions. I know you wanted time. And we can still have time. The wedding's 6 months away. I wanted you to have this. To know that it's real. That it's no one gets a veto. His voice steady, but his eyes were wet. You never needed her blessing, Clara. I was the one who needed it. I'm done doing it. I looked at Ethan. Then at Ethan. Invitation again. I thought about that night in the bathroom. The red mark scalp. The screenshot. Feeling of not crying. I thought about mail. The timeline document. The manila folder from Ray. I thought about hallway at 3 a.m. I thought about the contract clause. The not engagement. Lauren moving to Boulder. I thought about all the versions of myself in the last 3 months. The one who apologized. The one who got angry. The one who started a folder called Everything. Who realized I was fine on my own. I never needed her blessing, I said. My voice was quiet. It just took a while to figure that out. Crossed the table and took my hand. His palm was warm. His thumb brushed the back of my hand. Same hand that had held a phone with a screenshot, that had typed an email at midnight, client contract. We finished dinner. We paid, Ethan insisted, and I let him because it was a small thing, and that small things could be nice. Looked out into the November night. The air was cold, colder than August, sharp and clean, the kind of cold that made tighter and walk a little faster. The sky was clear. You could see stars if you looked past the streetlight. He arm around me. I leaned into him. We walked toward the car, invitation tucked safely in my purse. I didn't look back, not because I'd forgotten, not because it didn't matter, but I was finally looking forward, at the car, at the road home, at the 6 months between now and May, at the life I was away because it was mine. Maggie would call tomorrow. She'd find something to complain about. Date, the venue, the guest list, the weather. I'd listen. I'd be polite. I'd set the phone down and go back to what I was doing. Because Maggie had lost. Not because I'd destroyed her. Not because there had been a big dramatic down. But because I'd stopped being and once you stop being someone, they can't control you anymore. Ethan opened the car door for me. I got in. The heater kicked on. Walked around to the driver's side, turned the key. Home. Home, I said. We drove out of the parking lot, onto Kipling Street, and into the Denver. The radio was playing soft and old. Ethan hummed along. I watched the street one after another. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like to be chosen. Not because I fought for it. Not because I earned it. Just because I smiled. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to.